Hello everyone, this is Sean Broccoli here, and in today's video we will be Dragons Dogma using an unarmed character. I debated on whether or not to allow pawns for the playthrough. I opted on using them. There's a reason for this, because there's going to be enemies that are invulnerable to physical attacks. So I feel like I'll need a mage or sorcerer to inflict damage on those enemies. I also did not want to rely on throw blasts. I kind of feel like they're a bit overpowered, so I'll be avoiding them for the most part. I will find some within my playthrough, and I'll use the couple that I find on my travels. Others I'll deposit some as well, but I'm going to avoid purchasing them. So my biggest concern with this playthrough is going to be the strength of my character. Weapons in the game give you a pretty big strength bonus, and this game unfortunately does not really have a class for unarmed battle. So we're going to be going on through the journey without any sort of skills. The punching and the kicking is not very fast, especially the kicking. It's pretty slow. So we're basically playing the game in a way that the developers didn't want us to play it. Now, obviously, I'm using voiceover commentary right now for this video. However, the videos are going to be over an hour long each, and I'm not sure how many videos there's going to be. There's going to be a lot of content, and I just don't know that there's going to be enough to talk about. So you're probably going to, at least in this video, there'll probably be some dead silence. You'll still have the audio from the game, but I won't be talking for the whole hour, and I think it's 21 minutes. I'd like to get some feedback on that in the comments, just to see how you like the format. Just want to see if you prefer some commentary with the silence, or if you just prefer to see the video as is. Obviously, I'll be able to get the videos posted much quicker if there's no commentary, because I just have to do the edits and then post it. But if it doesn't really add any value to the videos, I'll just post them and you can just watch what I do rather than listen to me. So far, I do have the second video edited, so I'll give this about a week. We'll see what comments are there. If I don't really get any responses, I'll just continue doing what I'm doing with the commentary and then the silence at parts, and just kind of chip in when needed. Another thing to add is that there's several areas where I died a lot, or I just left the game running and did something else while it was recording, or I ran off and wasted time doing other things and didn't really accomplish anything within hours. So you're going to notice some inconsistencies in the video. Those are going to be areas where I just cut all the wasted time, basically. Alright, let's get into the playthrough now. So I did do some research prior to starting this playthrough, and I did find that there's some equipment that would increase my strength. Unfortunately, most of those aren't available until post-game, or they're items from the Bitterback Isle part of the game. So I'll gather what I can and use it, but as far as the playthrough goes, I'm not going to be doing Bitterback Isle in this challenge. I don't hate myself that much. So what you're going to notice in the video is that I decided to go with the Strider as my starting class. I did debate on that for a bit, kind of juggling between Fighter and Strider. The Fighter would obviously give me much better, well, not much better, but there's like a 19 strength difference between the two classes, whereas the Strider has more stamina than the Fighter. So I did end up going with the Strider. I really don't know if it would have made things easier had I gone Fighter instead. I'm not really willing to go through it all again to find out. So as we're pretty much going to need as much leveling up as possible to increase my strength and be able to actually damage things, we're going to need all the experience we can. if I could go back in time, I'd probably waste as little time as possible actually fighting the enemies that are just around Grantseas. Unfortunately, I did waste a lot of time fighting those things. But yeah, most of the experience we're going to get is going to be from quests. So while I'm doing this, I'm actually also shooting a 100% achievement guide for this game. So for the first playthrough, I'm really not going to focus too much on the notice boards. A lot of them are going to be escort and kill so many enemies kind of quests, and they're not going to add too much experience, and really it's more work than it's worth. So we're just going to complete the main pre-planned quests, the ones that would count towards the hero achievement. I do actually end up missing one quest, the Farewell Valmiro quest. I actually forget about it completely.
So at this point in the game, I've completed 2 of the first 3 optional quests. I've delivered the scripture to the priest in Casadaris. I've told Mervyn about his dead brother. I also did a quest to collect the Sunbright Immune Flowers. Actually, I'm still working on that. I haven't actually completed that, but as you saw, I'm grabbing the Sunbright from the big tree once we leave Casadaris. The Moog Glow will be obtained later when it's nighttime. For now, I will head and try and save Reynard. Now, I was not overly optimistic about whether or not I'd be able to save him. The challenges here are that I don't do much damage, and that there's actually 3 of them rather than just 1. And as you can see previously, when I was fighting goblins, I don't do too much damage, and I kind of end up relying on Rook to do damage for me. So what I ended up doing was I just repeatedly kicked them down, and then just wail on them until Rook eventually kills them with fire. In hindsight, what I probably could have done is knock down Reynard, as I can actually damage him myself. I could grab him and then carry him to safety. So what I was thinking is maybe if I grab him and take him down to the shore, the goblins may follow all the way to the shoreline, and then I can knock them down and feed them to the brine. Luckily, none of that actually matters because he did survive. And since I've completed that, I'm going to head towards the next big tree, collect the rest of the Sunbright I need. I'll end up fighting a couple goblins on the way, and then we will head to the encampment to proceed with the main quest.
Oh, that was far too close. But...
Seems we're most like to find what we seek near trees. Please don't overdo it.
Goblin!
Stupid human!
Don't worry. I am here.
So at this point, we make our way into the encampment, and we're going to hear a voice from the rift. So we're going to go ahead and go to the rift, and it's going to basically give us a quest to go fight some danger. So we'll end up leaving the rift and heading back towards the entrance of the encampment, where we'll notice the soldiers running to the other side of the encampment. And what's going to happen is we're going to have to battle in Cyclops. Sorry.
The beast comes! Hurry!
So now we'll begin the battle with the Cyclops. This actually took me 3 attempts. As you can see, I will be throwing the goblins off cliffs to help take care of them quicker. I ended up dying the first 2 times I tried this, trying to defeat the Cyclops. So after the 3rd attempt, I finally got it figured out. So the difficult part about this battle is that the Cyclops actually doesn't have a weapon. The problem with that is that when he has that spiked club, he actually has a blind spot on his right foot. He'll actually just kind of try and stomp with the one foot and then stomp with the left foot, and then he'll do a spin, but his spin with the weapon, it can never actually hit you. So what I end up having to do is climb on his body and just trying to wail at his head. Unfortunately, it's not a foolproof solution. 1, I don't do much damage. 2, he can easily just decide to grab me. At some point, he'll get knocked down and I'll end up on his face. And obviously it's probably the best place to attack. However, I'm not going to end up being able to stay there long, as he's obviously going to stop me from just sitting there. Actually, I think he might have got like an arrow in the eye or something, which is why he grabbed it. As you can see here, that spin move he does with the arms, he'll actually hit you in all the spots that I was speaking about, the blind spots. So eventually the Cyclops is actually going to lose balance. I'm going to hop onto him and I'm going to basically spank him until he dies. So there the Cyclops goes down. You're gonna notice here that there's a bit of a... I don't want to really call it a glitch because it's something that happened because of me. But basically I ended up leaving the game running here and for a couple minutes, so I decided to cut that. Normally it would have transitioned perfectly, except for Rook decided to move around. So as you saw, he basically teleports to the other side of the Arisen. So here we're gonna head right back into the encampment. We're gonna go back to the rift, and basically we will complete the quest, and we will be able to create our own pawn. So as I decided to create my character called Broccoli here, I decided to go with the most logical choice for a main pawn, Cauliflower. Now, I could have probably made this a bit more funnier had I made my main character have green hair and the main pawn have white hair to match the colors of the vegetables, but unfortunately I was not smart enough to think of that ahead of time.
Our fealty is sworn to you, Arisen. From this day, the Legion's men called pawns live and die by your command.
I've learned a new way to fight now.
So at this point I get stopped by Sir Byrne, and he's going to want to do the training with the Arisen. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, as this is going to be something that'll basically be easy experience. So there's going to be basically three rounds basically. So the first one is to move the cargo. So what I'll do is I'll go to the far back, hop onto the structure there. I'll grab the first box and I'll just kind of chuck it, because that way when the pawn goes back for the last one, the pawn will just won't have to travel as far and do some climbing. I think it saves time, but maybe I'm just a little crazy. So Rook will bring the last box there, and we'll start the second round. Now the second round is going to have a bunch of scarecrows that we got to take down. I actually believe I might have failed this one the first time just because I wasn't able to knock down all the scarecrows with my fists in time. Obviously I cut that part out. So we're just going to take out these last scarecrows over here. And then we will move on to round 3. So round 3, pretty much the exact same, except for there's some that are weak to physical blows, some weak to magic. Here I failed a bunch of times for the same reasons. My punching and kicking doesn't do as much damage as probably needed. Luckily, my pawns are able to compensate for that fact. In the ones where I failed, they were not able to. And through a lot of this playthrough, the pawns are going to struggle a lot. The AI just doesn't seem like it's that great at times. So anyways, now that I've completed the basic training, so I'm going to leave the encampment.
The training grounds are used to instruct the men of the Corps in combat. I feel familiar
and I'll head back to Cassidaris.
If you find combat a struggle. Well sturdy, this place.
Are you all right, Master?
Please don't overdo it. Endeavor to be ever calm in battle. Bide your time. Strike. Seems we're most like to find. We seek near trees. The roads are safer than the brush. Still, we'd best stay wary.
We share these roads with travelers.
Seems we're most like to find what we seek near trees. Tis your hometown, is it not?
The venerable Arisen returns.
So once I'm back in Cassidaris, we will get a cutscene where the Salvation leader guy starts talking to us. I'm gonna skip through that cutscene. We're gonna run over to Pole and we're gonna take the quest for the Saurians in the well. We're not gonna work on that yet. I will actually attempt that later on, and it's not gonna go very well. But for now, we're gonna head back into the inn and we're gonna take the escort quest with Madeline. And obviously, if you guys have played the game, you're going to know this is probably the worst escort mission ever. Because she decides she has to stop every 2 seconds like a 2-year-old who has to go to the bathroom. So what we're going to do is we'll slowly make our way to the encampment with her. In hindsight, I probably should have just carried her. It would have been so much faster and saved a lot more time.
Seems we're most like to find what we seek near trees. Now there's a fine
I'll
treat.
heal your wounds.
The roads are safer than the brush, but still, we'd best stay wary.
Hold a moment. There's art here. Aha, gold. Now there's a fine treat.
Endeavor to be ever calm in battle. Bide your time, then strike.
Hold a moment. There's art here.
His safest on the roads.
Hold a moment. There's art here. Aha, gold. Now there's a fine treat.
The Duke could stand to commission some new roads. Well sturdy, this place.
Success. And all thanks goes to your fine work. we'd best be inside, don't you think?
So we finally made it back to the encampment. We're gonna enter the encampment with Madeline, and we're gonna give her 1,000 gold so that we can help her stop or start her shop, and we'll get her quests later on. Now we're gonna leave, obviously, and we're gonna head all the way back to Cassidaris.
Well sturdy, this place.
The Duke could stand to commission some new roads. Perhaps we'll find ore among the
Tis safest on the roads. What of the flower hunt, Master? We mustn't keep her waiting.
The roads are safer than the brush, but still, we'd best stay wary.
We share these roads with traveling peddlers, guardsmen, and other folk. My kind knows neither death nor age.
So now that we're back in Cassidaris, this is actually an area where I made another cut, and you're gonna actually notice a bit of a inconsistency with the video. So basically what happened was I ran past the lady where you deliver the Sunbright, and I went to the Bitterback Isles. My plan was to go there and switch my vocation to Assassin. However, you need to be level 10 before you can do that. So I ended up having to come all the way back, and then once I got back, I went straight to the lady and I delivered the Sunbright. So now what we're going to do is we're going to head back out of Cassidaris. We're going to start looking for some Moonglow. I'm going to go check back at the big tree where we found the Sunbright. Unfortunately, there's no Moonglows there, so we're going to have to continue our search.
The roads are safer than the brush.
So we'll search around
We ought to search the shore.
the upper parts of the, I guess, the landscape, and unfortunately we won't find anything, so we're gonna head down to the shore area at the end near the encampment. At the shoreline there's a bunch of rocks. We'll climb the rocks and there'll be a chest, and then around some area by that chest there will be a Moonglow flower, so we'll grab that and we will head back to Cassidaris to deliver it.
I've been drenched.
Take care when walking at the water's edge.
Perhaps we'll find ore among the crags that litter this place. It's safest on the roads.
So I will take this time to, I guess, to apologize here. I'm not very big on using the lanterns, which I should have, but unfortunately there's going to be a few sections like this where it's going to be really dark and hard to see. So I just want to apologize in advance for all that.
Strength in numbers, Arisen. Could likely pass through here. We'll have need of a lantern if we hope to search by night. This is a place quite restful.
So here we're gonna actually give Benita the moon glow that she's looking for, and we will complete that quest. Now we're going to turn around and we're going to head into the inn. And this will be another section where there's a bit of a there's been an edit. I actually sit here for a couple minutes not doing anything, so I decided to cut that out. Eventually, when I do start moving, I'm going to look at my quest list. I'll see I only have that well one. I'm going to head into the well, but unfortunately, I don't think I'm ready for it, so I turn around and come back out. So at this point, the only thing left to do is to head back to the encampment, and we're going to have to speak with Mercedes to start the next part of the main quest, which will be basically just going to sleep and then waking up to the encampment being attacked by the Hydra.
Best prepare well before we begin. We share these roads with traveling peddlers, guardsmen, and others. Monsters, Arisen! Ready yourself! I've learned new techniques against
Attacks. Take my fire! Fire!
Did it!
The roads are safer than the brush, but still, carefully wary.
There, Master!
Endeavor to be ever calm in battle. Bide your time, then strike. Careful! A goblin!
Wolves hunt in packs!
They're quick, these dogs.
It's weak to fire!
Stop! No! He'll need more of them to
Fire works well! Burn them!
Tis safest on the roads. Perhaps we'll find ore among the crags that litter this place. Back to Cassidus, Arisen.
I've ordered the dragon. Make use of
Alright, so here we're going to speak to Mercedes, and she's going to ask us to rest here for the night. we're gonna go ahead and do that. We'll wake up in the morning and the enlistment corp base is attacked by the Hydra. So what I'll end up doing is crawling on top of it, climbing it, and punching at its head. As you would expect, I'm not going to be doing that much damage. But obviously here the point of this battle is not to do damage, we're just supposed to cut off a head. So eventually I do get knocked off and the Hydra goes and wraps around the tower and crushes it. So I have to sit there and wait for that to finish. I'll then run back up and I'll be able to try and climb the Hydra again, but first I'll have to revive my pawn. So as I try to climb, I'll get kind of eaten a bit. I'll escape, and then I'll try to climb again. This time I'll successfully get up here. And this is where an important life lesson is learned. Never clip your nails, because you never know when you're going to have to cut off a Hydra's head with your bare hands. So here will be where we finally get off its head. And maybe bring some Tic Tacs as well.
Arisen. I see better now from the job in it, but we'll meet at the way.
So Mercedes is going to move on. She's going to be at that castle meeting point area. We're actually not going to head there right away. We're going to actually head straight back to Cassidaris, as there's a couple more optional quests that are available now.
Terrible. These are...
We'll need Keena's help, please. Let's ask at the village. The Duke would stand to commission some new roads.
Perhaps we'll find...
Tis safest on the roads. Endeavor to be ever calm in battle. Bide your time. And strike. We share these roads with traveling peddlers, guardsmen, and other folk. Best prepare well before.
So once I get to Cassidaris, the first thing I'll do is speak to the Chief Adaro. He's going to give me the Witchwood quest, where I have to escort Quina to Selena. After that, I'll head into the inn, and I will speak to Pablo, who will have that quest about catching the thief. Obviously, the first steps of doing that is going to be to speak with Estella and trying to remember his name off the top of my head. Geraldo, I believe it's called. Yeah, Geraldo. So once we're done with that, we can head right back to Pablo's and we can speak to him.
Ready up for the thief with Lovewell. Done with your preparations, good fisher?
So we're all prepared. We're gonna start the quest. This is another area where I had to make a quick edit. I cut out the one attempt where I failed to catch the thief. So spoiler alert, I catch the thief. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to wait for the thief to show up. Going to practice my kicking. Nothing more intimidating than kicking air. So one of these days Pike shows up. is. So he's gonna run to the ruins where Benita was healing everybody. He's gonna run to the back there, and he's gonna turn around. On his way back, I'm gonna go ahead and this is Sparta him off the cliff, and then I will pick him up and capture him. So we'll speak. It'll fast forward to daytime again, and we will speak to Pablos to complete the quest. I'm gonna check the notice board here, and I'm gonna take the extermination notice board for the 24 giant bats. So at this point, I'm going to leave Casadaris, and my original plan was just to quickly
The Witchwood is this way.
kill the 5 rabbits to get that notice board quest done quickly. Unfortunately, I'll search around and I'm not actually going to find any rabbits. So eventually I will give up on that.
A goblin! Goblin! Fire! And thy kiss!
I'll take that.
Watch your footing, master.
What's this?
The roads are safer than the brush.
So at this point, I'm just gonna head to the meeting point with Mercedes. During this during my journey here, I'm gonna end up fighting a couple groups of bandits and then a bunch of groups of wolves. There's not really much to say. The strategy's pretty much the same. Knock them down, wail on them, or pick them up and chuck them off a cliff.
We have triumphed.
Other than that, I'll just leave it at that until we get to Mercedes.
We'll pass the encampment. This way. This encampment serves as a fine bulwark against monsters. The road splits here. Let's be doubly sure of which will see us to our destination. Armed road.
Wait for an opening.
Counter after they strike.
They are left exposed after a grand strike. It's a troubling foe.
They attack in quick succession.
Wait for an opening. We need but take this road north.
Counter after they strike.
you farewell. Any time.
Wolves hunt in packs.
Still need more of them to come.
Fire works well.
As they are vicious. Take care.
Fire, lend thy kiss.
Still need more of them to come. I've learned new techniques against them. Swing blindly. Very tight.
I cannot move.
They're nimble. Watch your back. It's a troubling foe. Stop! No!
I cannot move.
They're nimble. Watch your back. It's a troubling foe. Slippery tongue. We have triumphed.
I was clumsy.
Here, master. Wolves.
Along with boosts.
I shall restore your health.
Did it!
Strength in numbers, Arisen.
Here, master. Wolves.
There may be monsters about. Well clear of the fact.
Takes fire.
And their hippos swinging blindly.
I grant you fire's blaze.
This road leads to the capital.
Fire, lend thy kiss. 'Tis a troubling foe.
What a gap.
Fire works well.
And their hippos swinging blindly.
Takes fire. No, they hold the advantage.
None may touch the Arisen. It is a troubling foe. They're nimble. Watch your back. Did it! We could be ambushed. Stay alert. Who knows what lies in wait? Best proceed with caution. Are you all right, Master? Many plants grow in the shade of tall
A sorcerer,
trees,
master.
or in
Stay
dense
vigilant.
woods. For an opening.
They're left exposed after the grand strike.
Counter up this strike.
counter after they strike.
They're left exposed after a grand strike.
They attack in quick succession.
I've learned of boosts.
Get it!
Counter after they strike. It is even larger up close. It is difficult to walk such an hour.
Can I help you? I am honored to travel.
I pray the day monsters no longer haunt the roads is not far off. The sea is closer than I'd imagined. The road splits here. Let's be doubly sure of which will see us to our destination. Follow this road north and we'll hit Grand Soren.
Alright, so we've arrived at the meeting place where we will speak with Mercedes. Here you're going to notice the video is going to kind of cut out and
I've learned what to do in this quest.
it's going to cut out and kind of rewind back, and I'll be running back to Mercedes again. This was an edit that I had to do because what ended up happening was I got there, I decided that I didn't want to fully go through that entire quest at level 9, just in case I got,
Holds like this one.
in case I leveled up more than once. So what I ended up doing was I went back, I went on the trail towards the Witchwood,
I'll take that.
and I tried to level up there, and I tried to complete the quest for the Witchwood. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get very far there. I kept getting killed by the bandits. So I think after maybe 45 minutes or an hour of wasting time there, I ended up just heading back to Cassidaris. What happened was I did level up, but I was unable to obviously or even get close to the Witchwood. So what I did was I took the ferry to the back pile. I got the location changed to Assassin, and then I headed right back to Mercedes, and I started the escort quest. So there's not really much to say in regards to this quest. Nothing really exciting happens, and it's pretty straightforward. You're just escorting the oxen, the carriage or whatever ahead. Obviously there are some enemies that attack, but nothing that's worth mentioning. Things take a bit of time, but nothing really crazy happens. Eventually we will get to Grand Soren, and that is when you will notice another editing issue where it seemed better the first time I did it, but there was issues and had to redo it, and it didn't actually turn out well. So I went to the Caxton to buy some stuff, so I tried to edit that out. Unfortunately, it looks off, but it's not that big of a deal. So I will just leave you to watch the boring escort. Obviously, I'll have everything timestamped, so if you look at the description and you want to skip through, go ahead and use the souls.
We could avoid further battle. Never forget. Constant vigilance.
I'll heal your wounds. Woman?
Keep watch for falling rocks on the path ahead, Captain.
Come! Leave it to me. Before they can use their voice!
It'll take more than that.
What's that?
Fallen rock bars the path.
We cannot allow it life!
It hates fire!
Perhaps we could avoid further battle.
Did it! The path diverges.
Behind us!
With a
Stand
woman's
clear!
form!
Do not get trapped!
Don't stop! We're exposed here!
It hates fire! Take more than that.
Shall restore your health. Hold on. Anytime.
Not bad. Actually hurt.
Keep an eye turned to the shadows.
Anytime. Feet with a woman's form!
Hunting pack.
We must keep it down.
I have it!
Needs to shoot it down.
First strike shall be mine. Fire is yours.
Strike, lest the heart be seen. 'Tis a troubling foe.
Keep well clear of those fangs.
Watch your back.
I have it! Is it the serpent's blood that draws them? We cannot turn back. Stand strong and press onward.
It's treacherously steep. The means to shoot it down.
Fall, beast!
restore your health. Hold on. What sort of place is Grand Floral? I am eager to see it. No shield for a bother! We must take care the past does not claim us as its victims. I'll take that.
Watch for a gun.
Cut them down, men! The fallen goblin is in the east guard. I serve well against goblins.
Learned new techniques against that threat.
Goblins are full of icy fight. They grew frenzied.
It hates ice!
Take that.
Their kind hates ice and fire. I cannot breach its armor. We have triumphed. I've had quite enough of battle.
Shall restore your health. Hold on.
I'm not far now, men. Keep marching.
We're near half between the encampment and the capital, I'd warrant.
Goblin!
We've come this far safely.
Stay vigilant till we're in Grand Soren's gates, men. I've had quite enough of battle. Careful! A goblin! Blows to the head work well.
That was hardly a warm-up.
With arrows.
It hates ice!
I'll strike a blow. The goblin falls. Strike now. Goblins ill like fire. Goblins!
Tis weak!
They grew frenzied.
Goblins are weak to ice and fight.
I serves well against goblins. They're ahead. Grand Soren is in sight. We are nearly there, men. Now march. To Ice's bite. It hates ice.
Strike now!
What's this?
They're armed, Master. Counter our strike. They're left exposed after a grand strike. After they strike. They're left exposed after a grand strike. They attack in quick succession.
That was hardly a warm-up.
Strength in numbers. I'll take that.
Seems all roads lead to Grand Soren.
Hold on.
I'll go at once. Opposing structure fell, I'm sure.
Leave it to me.
A good start to any task is talking with others. Let's begin with that.
We share these roads with traveling peddlers, guardsmen, and other folk.
Danger is part and parcel of adventuring.
arrived. Walk proud through these streets, men. I'll make for the cup.
No, dear.
I've learned what to do in this quest.
Are you like a take all the time? Take all the do come with.
I should pray. Oh, there you have your pick. Any you like. What will it be today? What will it be? Have your pick. Come on.
This inn can serve as the hub of our journeys.
In this area now.
Who among you has seen the dragon? Who saw it raise up
The Pawn Guild is to the west.
No doubt you were filled with fear and awe, with trepidation.
The Duke's brave enlistment corps has dispatched them.
We're like to.
Stay. All right.
Welcome. The guild, but for...
So this is the Pawn Guild.
Armorers trade in a wide variety of weapons and defensive equipment.
This way leads on to the encampment. Different countries, cities, people. Intriguing.
It's not the last.
If you're new, have your pick. What will it be? What will it be today? What will it be? Have your pick. Come again.
So now I'm gonna head to the inn, and I'm gonna withdraw the Eternal Fairy Stone, and we're gonna go ahead and teleport to Cassidaris. We're gonna finally go back and finish the Saurians in the Well quest. So once we arrive in Cassidaris, what we're gonna do is we're gonna head to the well. We're gonna go down the well, and once we're down the well, I actually take the first right to the area. It's basically going to loop back around, and then we'll climb up and we'll be near where the Saurians were. I believe I took this way because I was looking to exterminate the 24 bats. I can't really recall if that was the case. It's just something that it's the only thing that really makes sense to me thinking back to it. So we're gonna go all the way around. We'll come back up. I'll run a bit back towards the start, to where the rats were. I'll kill the rats. Again, I don't know why for that. Maybe it's just my OCD kicking in. But then I'll head back to where the Saurians are at the cliff. I'll save the game, and then I will drop down and start fighting the Saurians.
jump our way across.
What's that? Give it to me. What's this? I'll take that.
An animal carcass.
Seems it's been dead for some time. We best take care not to meet the same one. If
Alright, so we're gonna start battling the Saurians now.
we've no choice but to jump.
We're just gonna hop down. They're gonna get pissed off. Well, we'll shoot fireballs at them, which will piss them off, and then I'll just circle around them and try to attack their tail. It doesn't appear to be too effective. I mean, it's doing some damage, but it's obviously not doing much, and I'm not really making any progress cutting off the tail. Obviously, if I'm able to get the tail off, then the defense of the Saurians do drop. But right now, most of my time right now is being spent reviving my pawns. Luckily, they're able to freeze a bunch of them, so I can get a couple free hits in. They're also able to kill a couple, so I do level up. As you probably noticed already, I did manage to rid myself of Rook, which is probably like the highlight of the game, just getting rid of that guy. this point, I finally clear the cave of the Saurians. The unfortunate part is that there's still a second part to this quest where I'll have to do the same thing all over again. And there's actually a bigger one, and then I gotta destroy eggs as well, which is a bit difficult barehanded. So we're gonna end up heading towards the exit. There's to the exit's gonna be at the trail where it leads to the Witchwood. There's a group of bandits that are on the way there, so we're gonna have to stop and battle them. It's going to be a bit of a difficult battle. Obviously, I'm okay with the Striders, the Rangers, the Mages, and stuff like that. But when it comes to the Warriors and the I guess the Fighters, they take a lot of damage and they do a lot of damage. So it's a bit difficult for my character to take them on. Once we've killed all the bandits, even when there's still a bandit around, I'll still start looting the place, grabbing what's available. So once we leave, we'll immediately be using the Eternal Fairy Stone, and we'll head back to Cassidaris.
This road leads to the Witchwood.
Judge from the name.
Shall we go after it?
And then we'll enter Cassidaris and we'll complete the quest by speaking to Pole. So the second part of the quest will actually be available 7 days after completing this quest, so it'll be a little bit before that happens.
It'll be easier going searching this area now.
So for now we're gonna head to the inn and we'll just rest until morning.
So many beds.
So at this point I'm gonna head to the notice board, and I'm just gonna take a couple of the quests there. Mostly the easy ones. I'm gonna avoid the escorts. When you're just starting out the game, you're not really set up for the escorts. What you like to do when you're gonna be doing escort missions is have your port crystals kind of near where all the locations are. So what we'll do is we'll leave Cassidaris here and we'll we'll go in our get our 5 rabbit kills. The rabbits will have respawned by now, so we'll be able to take them out. So at this point, there's really nothing interesting going to happen. I mean, I probably could have really cut this part out, but we're nearing the end of the video, so I decided to just leave it. I'm just gonna waste some time killing some goblins, opening some chests.
Our strength brought us victory.
And then eventually I'm going to make my way to the encampment.
Goblin! What's this?
Our strength brought us victory. Look, those traps. It seems there's more than monsters lives in this wood.
Perhaps we'll find ore among the crags that litter this
Don't worry,
place.
I'm here.
We'll pass the encampment. This one. We are a vagabond people, born in a drifting world. We come from the rift.
We can save. Have your pick. What will it be today? Have your pick. What will it be today?
Alright, and that pretty much brings us to the end of part 1 of the Unarmed challenge for the Dragons Dogma. Let me know what you guys think. I did double rethink the commentary thing. I think going forward I'm just going to upload the video. If you would prefer the commentary, just comment and say just mention that you prefer it. But I'm thinking it doesn't really... I mean, for this one, it maybe added a bit of value to the beginning, but I can't really see me doing it for the entire thing. As you can see, there's a lot of dead silence, and I did struggle with finding things to talk about. If you can, please go ahead and like or subscribe to the channel. I just like to see that people are actually enjoying my videos. And it'll encourage me to continue making videos. But for now, this is Sean Broccoli. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.
Built to keep out goblins, I should think.
Set out from here, and we'll be on the path to Grand Sorin.
We are a vagabond people, born in a drifting world.
What will it? Have your pick. What will it be? Have your pick. Come on.